I'm gonna do something different today with you.
Okay.
That usually what we do is I do the game with them and we spin the board, but I feel like you and I are so past that.
Yeah.
And so, just a backstory here, and let me see if I can get some light on you. There we go. So you don't look so dark over there and shit. You hella wetter, but you look black and shit. No, but backstory, like when I know we've met a few times, but the last time you hit me, out of nowhere, like I wasn't even like ready for that. I was ready for it because I've done a lot of healing myself, but I didn't expect that.
Right.
And you touched me when you left.
Right.
And I have so much respect for people that can teach me something and give me knowledge without even expecting it or knowing it.
Right.
The conversation really was starting from the event.
Yeah.
Because I saw what you were doing and I just wanted to be an extension and be like, hey, let me at least talk to him, show him what we're doing, and let me see how we can work together. And then it went, here
into like our growth and healing.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, I was like, and you told me about the book to read, the 4 Agreements. And I did. Yeah. And
we stayed in contact.
And that's the other thing too. Not a lot of people do that. Like I can meet people in the industry. Like, all right, cool. When I see you, I see you.
Yeah.
But it's not really like that. Not on that level.
Yeah.
That could go over past people's heads and shit. You know.
Yeah.
And so, and you said something to me that maybe you could speak further about. That's why I feel like, man, we'll pause all this other shit. I want to get into this because that touched me, and I wanted to touch other people.
Right.
That the fact that you told me is like, well, just forgive yourself. Yeah. And I told you, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, you did tell me that.
So I was wondering, what did you think when you heard that, or like, how does your mindset there? Because I think there's a lot of people out there going through that same exact thing.
I have the perfect answer for that. That I think that if you embrace, like deeply where it comes from, you'll understand it. So the question is, how do I forgive myself? Or I'm not ready for that, right? So I read the other day that conspired thoughts lower your standards. So if your thoughts are conspired, you're going to lower the standard to believe that you can't forgive yourself. Forgiveness is not even in the equation because your standard is low of yourself. Your standard of your growth is far from you. You're only in a microscopic moment of darkness. Mm-hmm. And you can't get out of it, that ruminated place we talked about. So if you're in a ruminated place and you're in darkness and you have conspired thoughts, you have very low standards for yourself.
Which a lot of us do, bro.
Which a lot of us do. A lot of us do.
Through the poison.
Through the poison. You can have cars, you can have money, you can have jewelry, you can have fame, you can have
sex, finest girl.
None of that matters.
Yeah.
If you have inner poverty, you have low standards.
Inner poverty, that's a good one.
And you don't really operate from a place of forgiveness, because without forgiveness you can't do anything. And it doesn't matter, even if you're on the journey and you're on the growth, you will still get obstacles, you will still get darts thrown at you, you will still get problems thrown at you, which instead of looking at them like problems, you have to look at them as opportunities to actually implement your growth.
Bro, but no, when you were here that day, bro, I swear to you, bro, it was a hood TED Talk.
Yeah.
But it was just between you and I one-on-one, and I told you I wish we recorded it, but then a lot of times I'm in this stage of my life where like, nah, enjoy that moment with that person.
Yeah, no.
Even though you want to record it, you know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, that was just for you and me. But I know we could do a wax, because I feel, and my mom just passed away, and I felt like,
I'm sorry.
I think it was 2 weeks maybe, or it was almost like a final step that you gave me, and then when mom's passed away, I was like, everything dropped to the wayside.
Yeah.
Like I barely picked the book up a week ago.
Yeah.
And I went back and I read chapter 1, and I stuck on the first 5-10 minutes. Like I won't go past it. Yeah. That's me. Like I want to digest it.
Yeah.
And so when I digested it again with a whole nother perspective, it said impeccable, without sin. I started thinking about that. I was like, okay, so the guilt that I haven't been able to let go, really, I'm doing a sin for myself.
Yeah.
And so that really talked to me right there. And I was like, because I judge myself so hard.
Right.
So hard for all my past fucking bad shit.
And not to interrupt you, but
yeah, go ahead.
Like, that you're self-sabotaging yourself.
I know. And that's what you were telling me that day.
Yeah. And I think that I'll use myself as an example.
Okay.
When I was far away from like actual growth, not like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, reciting, posting, using cool words. Like when I was far away from my growth, I was sabotaging myself all the time because I knew better. I really, really knew better. And I felt like this crazy thing that I felt the other day was the necessity to be needed is not necessary. The only thing that is necessary is to do and be what's absolutely necessary, right? So if you really explore the dynamic of that statement, what it's saying is you have to take your growth, your forgiveness, and your journey with absolute seriousness. Mm-hmm. If you don't have seriousness in your journey, you're not going nowhere. Mm-hmm. Denzel Washington said the other day, don't confuse movement with growth. You can run in place all day and not get anywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's true, you know. So if you are really not like peeling off the layers, if you're not really like digging down deep to really get to the bottom and to the root of trauma, of our childhood, of our distortion, you know, of our own narratives, of our ego, then nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nothing is going to change. And we do have to look at our growth as a big particle of self-expansion, because without expansion, you can't grow. You can't grow. Like anything that stays the same can't grow. Mm-hmm. So when I really took my life serious, because I was tired of myself.
How long ago was that?
Years ago, over a decade ago.
Okay, about 10. Because you said you've been sober, what?
Yeah, about 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and even then, you know, I try to get sober, and it would last months. Mm-hmm. One time it lasted over a year. But then, you know, again, the broken particles of you that convince you you're straight, you're good. Mm-hmm. Come on, look at you. Mm-hmm. And then you're right back in that hole. You're right back in that rabbit hole. You're right back in.
It's interesting. I had you know, drugs, alcohol, all of the above. Still working on it, but I've got a lot of drugs out of my life, but probably the alcohol at this point. I was like, if I've been 14, 15, getting faded, almost 40 now, looked at the years, it's like every day, every weekend, drugs. I've had this emotional, it's like I'm winding up this emotional thing in me every time. What happens at the kickback? Someone starts fighting because we're emotional.
Yeah.
I never gave my mind or my body a chance to even understand my emotion at such a young age. And then you put in gang violence and that mentality into it. You think that's who you want to be or who you should be. Yeah. But I had to really take that step back to be like, this motor in me, I've wound up so many different times due to this thing, alcohol or drugs, that wasn't really even me. I don't even understand who I am.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because like you said about the consistency in that situation. If you cut yourself and you don't give yourself, you don't heal from it, then you cut yourself again, and you cut yourself again, and you cut yourself again. You're still tripping off this one.
Right.
And this, you haven't given yourself any time to really go back to yourself and try to make any of it better. You have all this chatter, all this anger, all this resentment, all this noise, and the only way that you know how to get it out is by dysfunctional behavior.
And then that time you're already an addict, you know what I mean? It's like already part of you. And that was the thing for me. It was just, I just couldn't, like, I'm not even knowing who I am anymore, because when you get drunk, what do? You are more fast. You're like, because you think it's it's an energy inside you that speeds you up.
Well, and you're chasing that endorphin.
High. Yeah, the endorphin.
You're chasing it.
I did want to kind of say this. I did write some notes down here. The reading books part, when we talked, you know, I always heard, you know, judge a person by the books they have in their house and the people they surround themselves in. So I think you're one of the first people that stepped into the studio, into the station, really like. I've had a few people but like now press me, like read it, do this, challenge me, remind me how was this all started about 10 years ago with that book, or were you in jail? And shout out to CJ, Mitchie's manager.
Oh yeah, me and CJ go back to I believe that was 2001.
You said a minute. Yeah, you said it was a minute.
We were in East Mesa.
Yeah.
And George Bailey together. Yeah, my journey started after that.
Yeah.
I was still the boogeyman.
Right.
At that time.
You still wanted to be that dude.
It's like it was just part of the circus.
Sure.
That's it. Yeah. You know, you're part of the circus. Sometimes you're the clown. Sometimes you're the ringleader. Because it's a circus.
Yeah.
You're a little bit of all of it, whether you like it or not. You know, so when you stop buying the ticket to the circus and you get out of the circus, you know.
What's interesting to me, because I feel like, you know, we've been programmed to becoming fighting against each other, not getting an education, and then we're in low economic neighborhoods, so broken families, and then you're surrounded by all of that.
It's environmental pollution.
That's what you said last time.
It's environmental pollution. Like, how are you gonna have a nice swim in the swamp?
Right.
It's also another analogy that I've used is, imagine a snake that wraps itself around a saw. You're just hurting yourself. Mm-hmm. No matter what you do, the harder you want, the more that you hurt yourself. And that goes back not only to the neighborhood, but it goes back to like traditional traps, prison, schools, teachings, environment, business. Like,
stay tuned
bro,
for part 2.
All right, big dog. 1, 2, 3. Big homie, little one. First time on the board.
Yeah. Lil Uno, Westcoast Radio. I'll see you wherever you at, because everywhere you go, there you are.
Hey.